So welcome, Sarvesh. First of all, I'd like to start by asking you, how have been the last 13 months for you, both personally and professionally?
Thank you, Dr. Batra. I think last 13 months have been nothing like the 35 years which I spent before these 13 months. I think it's been, at some level, it's been very surreal, and at some level, it has been very unreal. Personally, uh, the work life obviously has changed upside down, and while there have been a big plus of getting to spend more time with family, but I think that this is tragedy around us. So I remember when the first lockdown was announced, from my window, it overlooks the highway, and I could see the migrants walking back to their hometowns. And I think that was very heartbreaking. I think the way COVID has impacted the livelihoods across the sectors, while education as such has been a beneficiary of COVID-19, the online education per se, I think just the sheer impact of COVID on our lives is something I'm still figuring out, and we're still trying to come to terms with. So I think personally, I still don't. I think 2 years down the line, I'll look back on this time and then I'll be comment on whether it really how it helped me grow as a person. Professionally, so as I said, Internshala, as you spoke in our earlier call, Internshala does two things: internships and online trainings, online courses that we talked about, right? So when the lockdown started, the internship market really shrunk. There were a lot of companies which were offering internship. They withdrew their offers, and a lot of students who actually had already secured an internship, campus placement, etc., they suddenly came on the platform looking for internships. I think the internship market shrunk two and a half to about 50% for the first 2 3 months. But then the massive transition shift to virtual internships happened. So now about 70 75% internships that are advertised on Internshala are either work from home, fully remote, or partly remote, like that. So I think it has recovered. I think the trend, the internship numbers that we used to see pre-COVID, they are back. And the online education obviously has been a beneficiary. Students being out of the classroom and not having access to labs, etc. That resulted in a surge in number of students enrolling in the courses on Internshala. So I think it has been a mixed bag professionally. Internship business suffered a bit. Now it's back on track, and the online education, like everywhere else, witnessed a boom.
Sarvesh, we all watched the movie Intern, and now there's a remake of that in Hindi happening in Bollywood. Now, when we think of intern, we think of somebody uh, young, which is the case in India. People are looking to start their careers while they're in the final stages of their education, or these days, even early stages of their education, to get industry skills to find a path that you want to embark on. Internship has become very important. Earlier, only in a business school, we would hear of pre-placement offers, right? You did internship and then you got a job there. But now internship has become very prevalent. It has become, as that AICT made it mandatory. Give us a sense of what has happened in the internship domain with numbers. How many people seek internships? Give us a breakup. And how many interns does your platform kind of cater to on a daily basis?
Right. Uh, so Anurag, I think the internship domain has gone a revolution in last 10 years. The sheer number of internships that are being offered and the sheer number of internship seekers, that has the profile has changed dramatically. The, the seeker profile has changed dramatically. The companies who are offering internship, that has changed dramatically. So I'll start with numbers first, and then I'll come to the more qualitative I'll talk about more qualitative changes. On Internshala, every minute one intern is being hired for an internship. So in a year, about 500,000 applicants or 500,000 candidates find an internship on Internshala. So every minute we see one intern is being hired. Every minute, 3 internship offers are posted on Internshala. Right? So we have thrice as much number of internship being posted on the platform. Then we are able to meet, and partly because the skill gap is there. So it's not as if the students are less; it's just the skill gap is there. So every minute, 3 internship offers are listed on Internshala. Every minute, one intern is hired on Internshala. Every day, 100,000 internship applications are being made on the platform. That's about, if I do a quick math, it's about 100 700 internship applications being made every minute. So every minute, uh, 3 internship offers are being posted. Every minute, 700 students are applying to those internships, and every minute, one student is getting selected for internship. So I think these numbers were nowhere to be seen on the platform when we started in 2011. Just to give a quick comparison, it took us 3 months when we launched Internshala in 2011, end of 2010. It took us 3 months to get our first 1,000 internships on the platform. Three to 6 months, 3 to 4 months, right? Today, we post 1,000 offers every day, right? So I think that's a kind of shift that has happened both in terms of
And
number.
Sarvesh, how many of these are paid internship? How many are these unpaid internship? And as it's happening in every domain, it's happening in entrepreneurship. It's happened in cricket 10 years, 20 years back, that the numbers from tier 2, tier 3 cities, towns grew. Give us a sense of what's happening in internship in terms of kind of domains, engineering, business school. These were, of course, very popular because these are large, but give a sense of other domains that are popular.
Right, sure. So let me answer these questions in three parts. One is a paid internship versus unpaid internship. So as a philosophy, right from day one on Internshala, we said we'll list only paid internships. It is internship with stipend. So unless you are an NGO, right, or a very niche profile like law or something, all the internships on Internshala come with a stipend. So we do not allow companies to offer unpaid internships on the platform. That's point number one. So about 99% of internships on Internshala come with a stipend. In terms of the profiles, so the internship revolution in India has been synonymous or has been in sync with the startup revolution that the country has witnessed in last 10 years. Because startups is where interns make a lot of sense. Startups are hungry for ideas. They don't care for hierarchy. They look for people for short term who can come and do a project and test it and move out, etc. Right? So the internship profiles are also similar to the domains in which the startups have come. So most of them are digital. So you will see a lot of internship in technology domains. So you see a lot of internships about Android app development, website development, full stack development. Lots of internships in digital marketing, content writing, in those domains, design, data science, right? Then general business areas like sales, marketing, HR. So I think whatever profiles a startup would need to run it, I think that's the same profiles you would find internships in on Internshala. So that's a kind of mix of the profiles, so the domains in which we get into, and they're across the sector. So you see international travel, tourism, e-commerce, service industries, manufacturing, all kind of domains. But these are the kind of roles that we get. Now coming to student profile, the student profile has undergone a dramatic change in last 10 years. No longer internships are a privilege available only to students from tier 1 campuses in engineering and MBA. Students from every nook and corner of the country and town are coming on Internshala and doing internship. I remember reading a story of a girl called Upasana who was doing BCom from a college in Orissa, and I think a town close to Bhubaneswar, and she has done 12 virtual internships on Internshala throughout her BCom, right? I've read emails from students from Nagaland, Mizoram, who are doing internships on Internshala. So I think one is geographically internships have percolated
Of
everywhere.
course, that's because of COVID, because geography no longer matters.
Exactly, and I think
We
internet
all are
penetration,
equidistant
yeah,
from each other.
exactly, and the internet penetration also has played a role. No longer, now everybody has access to internet information. I think they can come online, they can do the things that are required. The other interesting bit is you talk about the movie Intern, right? So the profile of interns also changed a lot. It's no longer just pre-final year in college, right? We have seen a 8th standard student coming on the platform and doing an internship. I can't remember what I was doing in 8th standard. I don't know if you remember that, but you were worried about doing an internship or career in your 8th standard. And we have women returning to work. So a lot of women who have to leave work due to maternity leaves or marriage, etc. Right? And they want to restart their career, and they need a stepping stone to we call them returnships. So a lot of returnships are happening on the platform where women are coming back and using internship as a way to get back to work stream. A lot of retired professionals, they are using internships to sort of say, I have a lot of free time. I want to keep myself busy. I just want to know what's happening in the world now. And a lot of new technology I keep hearing. I want to engage myself. So the second innings. So we call it second innings. A lot of retired professionals now come on the platform and they say, can we apply to internship? So I think the internship truly become democratized and truly global in nature. There's no single profile that you can hold uh, to pin to internship seeker. They're everywhere now.
Now, tell me, when it comes to internships, uh, what, how? is the conversion in terms of, some internships are purely to seek learning, to
Sure.
seek knowledge, to
Right.
be able to do what is mandatory. But a lot of internships are a segue into jobs.
Right.
Give us a statistic of how many of your interns have then ended up getting jobs.
Yeah, 45% of internships that are listed on Internshala, they come with a PPO offer, which means upon completion of internship, if the company likes the candidate and the candidate likes the company, it will be converted into a full-time role after a full-time employment after the internship. And now, especially in the startup segment, this has become the default way of building teams. So I think now companies are hesitant because internship is such a wonderful opportunity for everyone to know each other really well, right? I see you working for 3 months, 6 months, 2 months. I get to know you in and out, and then I decide to roll out an offer to you. And the applicant also gets to experience the company culture, the work, the growth, and then they decide to join the company. So I think this has become a very preferred way for startups to build their entry level workforce. There's so many startups that I know of where the entire team started as interns. So they are 50 members strong, 100 members strong, and majority of them started as interns. At Internshala itself, we are 200 members strong team, and about 160 of us started as interns at Internshala and then converted that internship into a full-time role, which is why we say Internshala is of the interns, for the interns, and by the interns.
Fantastic. Now, let me ask you, Sarvesh, you have seen trends in edutech. I understand that while internships is a free listing and a service that is available freely, uh, your business model entails selling edtech courses,
Yes.
Content. So give us a sense of what courses are in demand and why do you think they are in demand?
So I think one of the best things that happened with Internshala is that we had such a close. So we're always listening to the market, right? Because the internships are posted on the platform, right? They give us a real-time feedback on what are the skills in demand in the market. If I see a lot of internships being posted about digital marketing, if I see a lot of internships being posted on technology front like web development, Android app development, etc. Right? It's the same thing that mirrors on the tech courses also that are sold on the platform. So, for example, uh, Python programming and digital marketing are uh, two most selling courses on the platform, and they are also two most in demand skills on the internship platform. So in that sense, the skilling and the demand they mirror each other.
Absolutely. Now, as somebody who sees so many resumes, who's seen so many internships being closed, then somehow 45% of them being converted into jobs. Tell me, what is the future of work? What is the future of jobs? What are the tectonic shifts that are happening?
I think. So I think future of work. I wonder whether we should call it future of work anymore because we're already living the future now, right? So I think there'll be a lot more remote, lot more flexibility. I think the gig economy that we spoke about, our parents used to live for a career of 40 years, and they would say, I stayed in this job. They would retire from the same organization that they joined. I think that's no longer going to happen. I think nobody is going to retire from the same organization that they joined, especially in the private sector. I don't know about the government sector. So I think that's definitely going to happen. The work-life balance that we used to speak about when I started working 15 years ago, I think that no longer exists. In the sense, work and life have become very mixed, right? So there are times when you are during daytime you're browsing Facebook, and that's okay. And there are times when over weekend you're working, and I think it's all become part of life. So work life has now become life, and it's very intermixed. The experimentation has become a lot more. So we see students from engineering background trying management roles or writing, and I think there's no playground for you now. The world is your playground, and you can play any sport that you want, and you can try a sport for some time. Then if you don't like it, try another sport and go on to the next sport. So I think the the future of work is, or the way we're already living it is very, very exciting. I think it's very experimental. It brings you joy, and it's more fulfilling than what it must have been. Where I think in the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I think everybody's sort of done with the survival, right? And our parents have built the foundation for us. So I think we are now looking for more fulfillment from our work and from our interaction with our colleagues, etc. So I think that's the exciting part of future of work, right? The part that I feel a bit scared or worried about is the automation, the IT, and the AI that's coming in. Right? I think there's so many jobs. Even the content writing, I'm told, can now become automated. So you can just give a theme, and the machine will print an article which is very close to how a human would write it. So I think what remains to be seen is how we are able to meaningfully, how we are able to employ the large demographic dividend that we have in a meaningful way as the more and more automation comes in, more and more jobs become obsolete. And that's a big challenge. And I think in a country like India, where even now skilling is there's a massive gap, right? There's so many students who struggle to even express themselves clearly. And so I think that the soft skill, I think we've been technically very strong in technical skills anyway, historically, right? The collaboration, creativity, structured thinking, and critical thinking, and those are skills that we need to work on. And I think that's where I think a lot of work needs to happen. If you do this demographic dividend remains a dividend and does not become a time bomb for us.
Absolutely. My last two questions before I bring in our senior editor Rohel Amin into the conversation. One is, do you think edutech players, of course, they've clearly helped in expanding the market. Investments have come in, so they've created jobs. They're also bridging the digital divide. But my view is that they're also creating a digital divide because lots of disadvantaged sections still don't have access to devices or to bandwidth or to content. What do you have to say there? And second is, what do you have to say about hybrid education or pure online education? Do you see a university that is totally on the cloud? Do you think it is possible since you operate in this domain? Do you think a university on the cloud will be a reality soon?
Right. So I think there are two parts. One is digital divide. I think it's very much there. We've seen it in action. I think uh, it's less to, and for me the question is not of digital divide or digital bridging. I think it's the question of rich versus poor at the end of the day, right? While you could argue that the smartphones have become more accessible, the internet has become more accessible, but I think the fundamentals of a household in a slum is still the same, right? So if your father is sick, or if you need to help your mother or your father to earn income for the family so you can survive, I think it's less to do with the access to the tools. But I think just having the environment and the infrastructure, the time to be able to spend on education, right? So I think that's something which I think is worrisome. So when COVID happened, right? And a lot of school kids in underprivileged domain, or they've dropped out of school not because they did not have an internet. It's also an issue because in a household there's maybe one mobile and there are five kids, and how can they divide the mobile? I think that's definitely there. But I think that in general the economic impact of COVID has been worse on the poorer section. I think that's because that the impact is much more severe. So I think that the divide of rich versus poor will always remain. And now can the university on the cloud, right? I think it's a very interesting question, and I've been pondering it for so long. And as an edtech player, I would want that to happen, right? What I'm not able to imagine is, so look, the knowledge part of it, the technical part of it can be downloaded. I can watch it on YouTube also. How you create that experience, right? When we went to college, right? We built lifelong bonds. We learned so much about collaboration. We learned from each other's viewpoint, debating, and all of that. So I think the experience of being in a physical environment, I used to think of a university as a lab for life experiments. All of us have done enough experiments in colleges, and we have tried different things. Some of them cannot be mentioned on this call, right? And so I think
I lived in a hostel lived in a hostel in my business school.
Exactly.
So, experiment is a nice term for all the mistakes and the mischiefs we did there. But they're part of our growing up.
So I think that's part of growing up, and that's part of.
You went to a campus in 2006. I went to a campus in '94.
Right.
Clearly, a lot has changed since then.
Right. So I think how do you recreate that is something which is very different. I think I see the domain expertise becoming less and less relevant for physical model of education. I think they would still be the primary curator of the experience. There are hundreds of courses available on digital marketing on the internet, and my kids can learn from any of them. But how do I design a learning path for them, right? That I can observe, curate, and guide them on, right? How do I create an experience of living on campus, living independently? That should still be there. So uh, I think I'm a bit old school about this. As a business, I want university to go in cloud, but as somebody who's experienced college life, I think I think students will miss out a lot on if they don't get to experience that lies. So I think
I
that's
agree. Hence, the future of education, the future edutech is hybrid. So there'll be experiences that we get offline,
right.
whether it's interaction with our teachers and learning from them, or the interaction with our peers and colleagues in the classroom, or if the relationships and the human bit of being on a campus. I think that cannot be replicated on the cloud. So clearly that will happen, but a lot of learning will happen remotely and through e-learning tools. Let me bring in our senior editor, Mr. Rudel Amin, into the conversation.
Mr. Agarwal, continuing from here, I was listening to you. So we also have a lot of students who have tuned in and who are watching us. When it comes to bagging that prized internship, for example, what are the steps that you would tell them, that they should follow to land up in that role?
Right. So I think there are 2-3 things that I commonly observe among students who apply for internships on Internshala. And first of all, I just want to tell everybody it's not as hard as it seems from outside to get an internship. It's actually pretty straightforward, but we sort of need to follow a process. So first thing that students face is, I don't know what field I'm interested in. I have no idea. But the whole purpose of internship is to figure out what I like, what I don't like. So how do I start at the starting point? How do I know which internship to apply to? And I think obviously a lot of it is exposure that you have and talking to seniors and faculty members or talking to internship members. But I think if you don't know what to do, often we for sure know what we don't want to do, right? For example, I was very clear when I was studying in college that I didn't want to do programming, right? I was very clear that I couldn't code, right? So I think a lot of times it's important, which is where the platforms like Internshala or LinkedIn come into play, where you can learn so much about different fields, and then see which is the one that you certainly don't want to do. So I think we can start with elimination. I don't know to do this. I don't know to do this. I don't know to do this, and read through the job description, etc., and build a short list of these are the 5-6 roles that sound very interesting from the description of it. It involves talking to people. It involves designing. It involves writing. Whatever it is, right? But you could say that this is something I like. So that's one part. So I think figuring out, so narrowing down your choices is important. If you blindly apply everywhere, it's going to be a struggle, right? That's number one. So once you sort of narrow down your choices, then comes the application process. Now, application process has 2 parts. One is your resume, and one is your actual application, what you write in your application, right? Now, interestingly, while internships are meant to be a tool to acquire skills, but these days companies actually expect certain level of skills already in a student, even for an internship, right? And now that online education has spread so much, there's literally no excuse for somebody to say, I didn't know how to learn this skill, right? So whichever domain you shortlist and understand what skills are required in that domain and start building those skills early on. It could be through your live projects, it could be through your online courses, or it could be through the classroom projects, etc. But have some portfolio of skills to showcase when you apply. And third is the application part. Students make very simple mistakes, like they will make a lot of grammatical mistakes in their answers, or they wouldn't even research about the company. So often I come across cover letters जहाँ पे आपने company A के लिए cover letter बनाया था, तो company B के लिए आप वही चिपका रहे हो, company C के लिए आप वही चिपका रहे हो, company D के लिए वही चिपका रहे हो. You're not even changing the names of the company, or you're not even researching about the company that you're applying to. So I think there are 3 things I would suggest to any potential applicant. One is narrow down your choices, right? Build some portfolio of skills in that domain before you start applying, and then do your research when you're applying. I think there's just a well-researched application takes a lot less than making 100 applications, and actually is more effective. So I think a well-researched application is a better bet to find an internship than applying to 100 places at random.
Right. This is also largely an fragmented market. I mean, you're just trying to put it together. What kind of a scope do you see in terms of how big is the opportunity for entrepreneurs in internship per se as a industry, as a segment?
So you mean how could there be more ventures in the internship domain?
Yeah.
What
So
is the total size of
if the industry is big enough and there is enough to be made, though everyone's business model may be unique, while there may be commonalities, everyone may have differentiation. From an entrepreneurship, from a business case standpoint, what is the case for building a venture around internship? So share with us all your Swiss bank accounts, all the money you make from this venture, where you put, and so on and so forth. On a serious note, tell us how the solving of the problem of internship has led you to build a business? That's the question essentially Rohel is asking.
Okay. So I think the internship is a means to solve a particular problem, right? And the two problems that internship tries to solve. One is skill building. So the unemployability or the lack of employability of our graduates has been a talk of town for the last 10 years, right? Different NASSCOM surveys put that number at only about 80-85% of students are not employable, right? That's a massive problem, and that is being solved in so many different ways. Internship is just one way of doing that. The other problem is the remaining 15% who are employable, they're often confused. So they don't know how to, what career path is right for them and which path they should pursue and how to build a career in that direction. I think fundamentally, I wouldn't comment on the internship as a business. I would say we should look at these two problems. A large number of our graduates are unemployable and remaining are confused, right? And there are lots of businesses that have come around solving that problem, those problems per se. So employability, the different edtech models, and some of them are hands-on, some of them are offline, some of them are online, some of them are one-to-one, some of them are small projects building up to a portfolio. So there are so many different models that have emerged in edtech from an employability point of view. On the interest bit, I see there are businesses that emerge on mentorship. So where you connect a student with an industry expert who just acts as a mentor, whom you can reach out. Because a lot of times, all you need is a guiding hand, right? Just somebody will tell me what I should be doing as a student, right? So there's a lot of career counseling, mentorship, a lot of ventures that have come around. I think fundamentally, both of these are large enough problems, and a lot of players do exist in this space, and a lot of solutions do exist in this space, and they'll continue to build on that space. For us, internship became a very sweet spot because it's actually a very exciting thing for a student to do, right? It's a carrot at the end of all the hard work. So once you learned all the skills, you'd want to do an internship. The reason Internshala became what it became is because internship is inherently the most exciting way to solve this problem for a student, right? So I think they already see that, okay, if I acquire skills, I actually can get an internship, which can be my pathway to a career. So I think just one of the solutions, just one of the ways to solve the same problem.
Our last question, Latika Goyal is asking that what are you doing to incentivize employers to offer more internships to students? How are you making sure that you being there creates a bridge for creating more internships? That's what she's asking.
Right. I think there are two.
Because she is saying that till now internships have been limited to referrals, people going to their friends, connects, business associates for their children's internship. So how do you professionalize it, formalize it, and make it an easy process? I know for sure that you've done it already. What she's saying, you're living that and you're doing it. But coming from the horse's mouth is always better.
Yeah. So Latika, just to give stats, if anybody ever approaches you for internship or you have to struggle to find internship for anybody in your circle, just refer them to Internshala. You'll be surprised to look at the number of opportunities that are available on the platform. Every year, about 150,000 companies offer internships on Internshala. It's a fairly large number. So some of the problems that you're talking about has already been solved. But in terms of how do we incentivize, there are two parts to it. One is the platform is free, right? Even when we started Internshala, we knew that internship culture would take some time to be built, and we didn't want a financial transition to be a friction point for a company to come and try internship. And most of these are startups, right? So they didn't want to sort of stop them from offering internship. The platform is free, so there's absolutely no friction whatsoever of why you don't want to do internship, right? The second point is the internship culture will automatically grow if companies who come and try the internship model for the first time, if it works for them, right? So if they find the right candidate who was skilled, with the right attitude, and had a great experience, right? So often it happens that companies come and try the internship model for the first time. They end up either they're not able to hire somebody because the skill gap was there, or they found somebody who was not so serious, and they sort of feel that no, internship don't work for us. I think, and that's where a lot of education on the employer side as to how they should pick the right intern, and a lot of education on the intern side as to how should they make the most out of their internship, and from output point of view. I think that's a lot of work Internship does with both the communities, and that's sort of so that everybody goes with a positive experience. So if you have a positive experience, you'll come back and use it again and again and again. So I think we're keeping the platform free. We run a lot of campaigns for companies to come and register on the platform, and we do a lot of education on both the sides to make sure the experience is positive for everybody, so they can keep coming back and use the platform.
Thank you, Sarvesh. I'll definitely tell my 17-year-old and my 13-year-old to seek internships on Internshala. We wish you luck in your endeavor to democratize internships and bring those opportunities to everyone and to build a bridge between the corporates and the students who seek internship. We wish you luck, and I'm sure it will enhance their learning and their employability. So we wish you luck, and I'm sure you'll go from strength to strength. Thank you for being on the BW Education Wednesday Wisdom. If me and Rohil had to do an internship, where do you think you can find us? We'll need to unlearn a lot with me, and Rohil had to do an internship. Where do you think you'll find us one? I think I'll have to unlearn a lot to be able to learn new things.
So I think you already taken the first step. The fact that you realize that we need to unlearn, I think is a great start.
And Sarvesh, I keep saying, and I really believe in the process of reverse mentoring. You know, what we can learn from young people. I mean, young people can learn a lot by working in organizations, doing projects, being mentored. But, you know, there are certain ways of being, when you talk e-games, you talk of internet businesses, you talk of, you know, approach to personal finance. There are lots of areas where you can learn from millennials.
Yeah, and
they are outstanding.
Dr. Batra spoke about future of work, and I think this, you're already living it, right? This reverse mentoring, where the relationship between a manager and the mentee is no longer one way. It's bidimensional. It's both ways.
Absolutely.
That has already started happening. I think we need a lot more managers and entrepreneurs like you who can drive this conversation forward and say, this is what the future of work looks like. So I think that's also part of future of work.
Thank you so much, Sarvesh. We wish you luck. And I'm sure internship will be better because of Internshala. So thank you for being a pioneer in this domain and making a difference to many lives and families. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you, Dr. Batra, and thank you, Business World team, for giving us pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Those of you missed it, watch it on the YouTube channel of BW Education or read it on the online newsletter of bweducation.com. We'll be back next Wednesday with the BW Education Wednesday Wisdom. Stay tuned till then. And tomorrow, we celebrate the Earth Day by an online initiative to bring along leaders from various domains in terms of the sustainability efforts they are making to make the Earth a better place. Profits are important, but people and planet are equally or more important. On Friday, we start a new series on healthcare because we believe that if the country needs to do better GDP, if lives and livelihoods need to be saved, they need to be saved through healthcare entrepreneurship, through more investments in healthcare, and through a changed business model in healthcare. So we have leading entrepreneurs who build billion-dollar companies, fund managers who manage $1 billion of healthcare investments, and operators of healthcare joining us. Really, India's top 5 healthcare entrepreneurs with us, talking to us about healthcare at home, investments in healthcare at home, investments in testing, investment in building mental toughness. So it'll be a Friday evening focused on what matters most, lives and livelihood. So we look forward to another engaging conversation with you on the Business World handle. So stay tuned, keep logging in. We'll see you soon. Thank you.